to share about a very special occasion that's coming up this month. We're already in March, and spring is in the air. Krishna says in the Gita that of seasons I am flower-bearing spring. So, nice time of year. On the 13th of this month, we have a very special festival called Gora Purnima. Purnima means full moon. So when the moon will come up full, we will have a celebration that commemorates the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. And who is he? He is actually Lord Krishna and his eternal loving consort Radharani combined. Krishna came about 5,000 years ago on the planet, and Lord Chaitanya, who is actually Radha and Krishna combined, came a little over 500 years ago. So you get the context. So this is an appearance day for the Lord on the 13th, starting at 6 o'clock in the evening. So I think you'll all appreciate it quite a bit. If you can come, you'll feel a surcharge of spiritual energy just radiating through you. So I'll just chant some invocation prayers. Namo Vishnudaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatideshajarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayan Rupa Karamayam Sarati Swaparantikam. So I'd like to humbly beg the blessings of their lordships, their mercy, and their kindness upon all of us. And the Parampara, our disciplic line, Srila Prabhupada, and all the devotees, all of you, to speak something Krishna conscious. We'll be hearing a little bit from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a 9-volume set of the life and teachings and pastimes of Krishna, who comes as Lord Chaitanya. Only a few generations ago, not that long ago. He appeared in 1486. It's really not that long ago. So just to invoke more auspiciousness, I'll chant one text from, this is Adi Leela, and it's chapter 3. Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Vande Yat Padashraya Viryata Sangrinat Yakara Vratat Agya Siddhanta Sanmani. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the potency of the shelter of his lotus feet. Even a fool can collect the valuable jewels of conclusive truth from the mines of the revealed scriptures. So I like this verse because it talks about taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So if you ever see the feet of the Lord, they're like soft and pinkish and just delicate and fragrant and beautiful, like lotus flower. So they're called lotus feet. And to take shelter of them, it says even a fool can get the jewels or the valuable lessons from the scriptures. So I'm thinking, well, I need something to enhance my spiritual life, so maybe I'll collect these jewels from the feet of the Lord. And we might feel foolish sometimes because we don't have full knowledge. So that's also why we take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And anything that has to do with the spiritual knowledge that uplifts the soul, we like to take shelter of that. And there's another really nice verse here too that is often quoted. I'll just read the English. During this season of the year when Lord Chaitanya appears. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Shachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost core of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before. The most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. So Krishna's coming, and he's actually in our heart, right? The Lord is in the heart. We call super soul. And so here, just by this meditation on Lord Chaitanya, the Lord becomes situated in the heart. So his complexion is like radiant molten gold. So he's very effulgent and shining. So there in your heart, shining this great effulgence of molten gold. And he's come in this age, it's called the age of Kali, it's an age of quarrel, hypocrisy, disagreement. People are unlucky, misguided, always disturbed. Sound familiar? So this is the age that he comes in, and he's offering the most special love. The heart, the soul expresses love. And according to our consciousness, we have a certain kind of love. So in the material world, there's what they call love, but we have to really define it as lust. Because basically it's for one's own motivations or sense gratification. But people in the world, they call that material love. So inside the heart, there's different levels of consciousness depending on what we desire. So there's a very special kind of love that comes when we hear about Lord Chaitanya. And when we pray to Lord Chaitanya, when we pray to Krishna for his mercy. So it's a special kind of love because he gives it freely. It's like coming from a storehouse of love of God that once you open that storehouse, it never stops producing. You know, usually a material storehouse, you take what's in the storehouse and then it's empty. But this spiritual storehouse, the more you take out of it, the more it increases. So in other words, the love that comes to you in your heart from Lord Chaitanya is an ever-increasing, unlimited storehouse of this special spiritual love. So in that way, we become attracted to Krishna that comes just a few generations ago. And we're attracted to that because he's all attractive. He has all the opulences, everything, riches, beauty, fame, wealth, strength, renunciation, everything, knowledge, everything is there in fullness in God. So when he appears, then he appears with all these opulences, and it's very attractive. So here we are at the Kali Yuga, and the Lord decides by the desires of his devotees that I'm going to come to the earth planet again. I was here 5,000 years ago as Krishna, and you might remember Krishna was on the battlefield speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So then he decides, I'm coming again. I'm going to come, and I want to come because I want to give this storehouse of love of God to everyone without discrimination. I want everyone to benefit. So he decides He's coming. So what happens is in the higher celestial worlds, the word gets out that, wow, Krishna wants to come back to the earth. And what he wants is he wants all of you, his associates and friends and companions, to also come to the earth and help him enact his pastimes and to help spread love of God. So the word gets out in the higher realms that this is what's going to happen. And so the great saintly spiritual master of the demigods, Narada Muni, broadcasts this all over the different planets, all the heavenly planets, moon, sun, Venus, everywhere. And so they're all preparing to come. And they're going to come to the planet as different personalities. Indra, this one, that one, Brahma, all the different demigods, all the different celestial personalities who are greatly empowered. They're all going to descend on the planet, just like they did when Krishna came. Because you probably, if you know the pastimes of Krishna, you know that so many personalities came from the higher worlds to help Krishna in his mission. So this is happening again. And so Lord Chaitanya, he wants to come at a certain time. He wants to come when everyone's chanting Hare Krishna. Because as you witnessed here, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, it's very jubilant and festive, and it's very auspicious, it's uplifting to the heart. So he's thinking, I want to come when it's like this, in this mood. It's like if someone's wanting to go to their birthday party or some kind of gathering, they want it to be a upbeat mood. So that's what happens. And how does it happen? Well, there happens to be an eclipse going on of the moon. So in those times, whenever there was an eclipse, it was considered you want to counteract any kind of inauspicious reactions from the eclipse by going into the holy rivers and praying during the time of the eclipse. So that's what happened. There was an eclipse, full moon is out, and everyone's in the Ganga and they're all chanting Hare Krishna very loudly. Like if you thought it was loud here, just magnify that by hundreds of tens and thousands and millions of people chanting the holy names. And so it was at that time that Lord Chaitanya agreed to come on the earth when everyone was so jubilant. So there, all these personalities absorbed in this mood, and so he comes, Lord Chaitanya comes, and he allows certain devotees to enact the pastimes of his family. You can imagine if you get to be part of God's family in that sense. This is very special. So his parents are enacting a kind of like a birth ceremony for him, and everyone is coming. And it's very interesting because a lot of the people who come to their home to give recognition to the birth of Lord Chaitanya, these are personalities who are coming from the higher worlds, and they're looking like regular humans. And a lot of the people in the neighborhood, they go, wow, I don't recognize those folks. But there's all these people coming, and they're dressed so nicely and looking very aristocratic and beautiful. And they're actually all like these different demigods and demigoddesses who've come down just to get a glimpse of this baby Nimai. They gave him the name Nimai because it means he was born under the neem tree, and the neem tree is very helpful for healing and antiseptic, and it will drive away all bad elements. So he was given the name Nimai. So everyone's coming to see Nimai, and people are looking and they're going, who is this? I never saw this neighbor. And so people are coming and going, and and they're hobnobbing with all these unknown celestial personalities who come in great jubilation to see this extraordinary baby. And so many of them, knowing the pastimes of Krishna, they were thinking, wow, this baby reminds me of Krishna. He's just so beautiful. Krishna was in the hue of bluish, blackish, monsoon cloud complexion, just like with a silver electric aura. He's just like flashing. And so Lord Chaitanya, who's Radha and Krishna, he's coming in a really effulgent golden hue that's so amazing and flashing gold. And it's very, very beautiful. So everyone's very attracted to this baby who's appeared. And it's interesting because we would think, well, if I was going to greet the appearance of the baby Lord, what would I bring him as a gift? What would I give as a gift? Well, it's not too difficult. All you have to do is maybe find some bananas or some yogurt or maybe turmeric or maybe some nice jewels, maybe a little baby necklace, and different nice articles that are very simple but very auspicious. In other words, they give auspiciousness to the occasion. So people were bringing all kinds of items like that, and different cloths, silk cloths for the baby, and ankle bells, and silver and gold jewelry, especially bells for his ankles and waist, like that. So in this way, he's charming everybody as he's having this little ceremony. And what he would do to evoke everyone's heartfelt chanting, he would start to cry. And then they got the understanding that when the baby cries, if we chant Hare Krishna, he stops crying. So they start chanting. And baby doesn't cry anymore. Baby Nimai. And as soon as they stop chanting, he starts crying. Okay, gotta chant. So everybody's constantly chanting the holy names and making an atmosphere that's totally surcharged. And he's so endearing as he's growing up in his babyhood and childhood years. He's very endearing to everyone. And one time he wanted to be playful. So he, like Krishna, he was going to different people's homes and he was stealing from their yogurt and butter pots. And if you know anything about Krishna, he's known as the butter thief. So Lord Chaitanya, it's so sweet how he has pastimes that are just like Krishna's, where he's going and stealing butter and yogurt and smashing the pots and pinching the babies and in the different neighborhood houses and causing a commotion. And the more the commotion he causes, it seems like the more the people just love him. It's like, wow, he came to my house, What to speak of the fact that he broke all your pots and ate your yogurt and butter and made a big mess, but they're thinking, oh, he came to my house. Oh, how wonderful. My life is perfect now because he came and he ate the butter. So in that way, he really, really charmed everybody. One time he was playing in a spot that was considered not that clean, especially by his mother, who wanted to always keep him very clean. And it was the spot where after you might eat something from a clay pot or from some banana leaves, you would leave the banana leaves in the pots in a big pile, kind of like a compost pile. So little Nimai decides he's going to sit there in that spot, and he's going to eat dirt. Now, there's another pastime with Krishna where Krishna eats dirt, you might recall. And when he does eat dirt, Krishna, then his mother is very upset. I mean, most mothers would be, because they're thinking the child will get ill from eating dirt. So anyway, so the boys are telling Krishna's mother, "He ate dirt, mother." And then she's upset and she says, "Krishna, did you eat dirt?" "No, mother. They're angry upon me. Even Balaram, he's angry upon me, so he's lying." And you can see, I'll open my mouth, and he opens his mouth, and the whole universe. Mother Jashoda sees the universe in his mouth, and she's totally bewildered. What? You know, because she's not thinking, this is God. This is my little boy. And so she gets very bewildered seeing this, and then she just kind of shakes it off, and she goes, "Oh, this must be something jugglery, some kind of odd, silly, mischievous thing he's doing." He's just my little boy, and he shouldn't eat dirt. So anyway, so Lord Chaitanya as Nimai, he's talking to his mother, who's upset that he ate dirt. And Nimai is saying, "Well, what's the problem? The foodstuffs come from the earth. It's just a transformation of the earth, all the foodstuffs. So there's really no difference if I eat the earth or if I eat the foodstuffs." So he's being very clever. But his mother, she is also very clever, being the wife of a very learned Brahmin, very intelligent scholar of scripture. She's telling Nimai, "You know, where do you get this philosophy that all is one and there's no variety and there's no distinctions? If you eat food from the earth, you will become healthy. If you eat dirt, you will become sick. So there's a distinction between the dirt and the foodstuffs that come from the earth. It's not all one, Nimai. Where do you get this philosophy from, where you just put everything into we're all one and there's no difference?" So Nimai is listening to his mother, and he said, "Oh, wow. You should have explained this to me when I was really young. Then I wouldn't have eaten the dirt." So anyway, he appreciates that his mother is speaking to him in very simple terms, but very high philosophy. She's saying to him, for example, if you have a vessel that's made from earth, a pot, it can hold water, right? So it can function as a pot. But if you say there's no difference between earth and pot and earth, and you just pour water on the earth, it's not going to be contained at all. It will sink down into the earth. If you pour it into the earthen pot, it will be retained in the pot. So there is a simultaneous oneness, but difference. And this happens to be a philosophy that when Lord Chaitanya manifests his pastimes as older preacher and scholar, he speaks against the philosophy of everything is all one, there's no distinction, there's no difference. In other words, you don't really have full individuality. Now that's not very nice. Would you like it if someone said, well, you're not really a full individual, you're just a lump. You're part of a lump of individuals that are all just one lump together, and you're just not really you, you're just all lump. so anyway, so Lord Chaitanya is setting the stage for later on when he's going to speak to people to help them to understand their nature. Look, you're simultaneously one and different from the divine. In other words, you're not God, but you have qualities like God, right? There's some simultaneous oneness and difference. So all throughout Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he teaches that. And our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he's always teaching that in his books. And that teaching is important for us because it helps us to get in touch with the soul as an individual, as a unique nobody like you in all of existence, no two souls alike, although we have similar qualities, right? But everybody is a complete, unique, wonderful, beautiful individual. And in that way, when you understand that individuality and yet your oneness with others, oneness in qualities, we have similar qualities. The souls of all of us are similar in quality, but we're all individuals. So this helps us to develop real love. It may sound strange, but to see the difference between yourself and the divine, and to see the likeness between yourself and the divine, will help you to develop a love that is very pure, very, very, very pure. In other words, it gives you the inspiration that I'm an individual, God's an individual, everyone's an individual. I would like to serve God. If I'm God and we're all one, then I'm not really into serving. We're just all one big glob. So, but if we're all individuals and we all have this beautiful nature, then it means we have something to share and relate with each other. We have something to give and take. So this whole philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference helps us to approach a higher and higher understanding of what the soul is capable of as a loving person, that you can actually experience a kind of love that goes beyond the material realm. So there's so many different pastimes in Lord Chaitanya's life. For example, one time he was not wearing any ankle bells at that time. He was very young, like a toddler, and yet his parents kept hearing the jingling of ankle bells in the room, and they were thinking, what is that? Of course, it was Lord Chaitanya, and he, as a little baby, he would manifest many pastimes with the demigods. Even as a little baby, the demigods would like to come and visit him. And so he would get jubilant and he would dance, and his ankle bells would ring, and his parents thought, wow, what is that? What's going on in there? And they thought, well, he doesn't wear ankle bells, so where's this sound coming from? So then the father said, oh, maybe it comes from my deity, because he would serve a deity of Krishna. So he thought, maybe my deity is dancing in the room, and he has ankle bells. Krishna always wears ankle bells. So maybe my deity is jumped off the altar and he's dancing around for joy. And but they never thought, maybe it's Nimai. Maybe Nimai's manifesting all of these things. But they would never think of him as like that. They would just think, he's just our baby boy. He's not God. He's not manifesting all these mysterious things. It must be, either demigods are coming or ghosts or something. So they would never ever see his divinity in terms of, well, he's not my son, he's God. I have to have awe and reverence. They would just think of him as their very own little one. And so in that way, they had a special relationship. So Lord Chaitanya, when he was growing up, he would always like to tease different people of all different ages. And sometimes the girls of the village would be worshiping Lord Shiva or Goddess Uma to get a good husband when they were young girls. And so then Lord Chaitanya, as Nimai, little boy, would come and he would steal their offerings because they're trying to offer, to demigod Lord Shiva and his wife Uma, and please, help us young girls to get a really nice husband. And so then he would come and steal the offerings, and they would get really mad. Nimai, what are you doing? You're like a brother in our neighborhood community, and you're acting like a thief, and this is wrong, and we're going to tell your parents, and you shouldn't do this. And so Nimai would say, no, you should give all the offerings to me. In other words, what he was saying was, actually, I'm really Krishna, and Krishna is the one you should give offerings to. And you think I'm just your little friend down the street, but I'm actually Radha and Krishna, and you should give all your offerings to me. And if you do, then I promise you'll get a wonderful, strong, and handsome husband and lots of wonderful, beautiful children. And if you don't offer to me, then you'll probably have 4 co-wives and you'll be miserable. And so they're all thinking, oh, okay, so we better offer everything to Nimai. He's such a rascal. And then sometimes the girls would go and, tattle on him, go to his mom and dad and tell them, look what he does. And that would happen sometimes to the older Brahmins who would, at midday, they would go to the Ganges and they would chant their mantras standing at, midwaist in the Ganges and praying and chanting Gayatri. And then Nimai would come underneath them and he would pull their legs and their garments. And sometimes he would come up with a big mouth of water and spit all over them. And for these brahmanas, they need to be clean when they're doing their mantras and everything, right? It's important to be clean. And here's Nimai spitting on them, and just like a rascal kid. And actually what was happening was he was giving them an abhishek or a bath from his divine mouth of this beautiful Ganges water. But they were thinking, oh, he's disturbing our meditation. And so then they would go back to Nimai's home and tell his father, what he's doing, this is very disturbing. And then his father, Jagannath Mishra, would say, this is not good. I'll go right now and get that boy. And then all of a sudden, he would turn around and there's Nimai right there. He's not at the river, he's at home. He's not wet, his hair's dry. He's being very good sitting with his books, doing his lessons. And everybody is bewildered. What? He was just there at the river. Now he's here at home. Everyone's so bewildered, but can't help but be attracted to him. Can't help but be fascinated. What's happening? oh well, it's just Nimai. It's just he's a rascal. So as he grew up more and more, he became a great scholar. He's about 15, 16 years old, and he's the best scholar ever. Nobody can defeat him. He opens up his own school of learning, and all his students, they're learning all kinds of logic and different ways of arguing and debating according to scripture. And basically, he's like becoming a so-called logician. And so a lot of Nimai's elders are saying, Nimai, if you were a devotee of Krishna, you would be such a good devotee because you're so expert in your studies of logic and convincing people about arguments. You would be great as a preacher, Nimai. When are you going to become a devotee? And he goes, oh, maybe in the future. So here's God himself. He's playing the part of so many roles in so many phases of his pastimes. And even as a teenager, as a big scholar, he's playing the role of a logician. And all his father's friends are thinking, what a waste. Oh, what a waste. He could be such a nice devotee. Of course, he's God. But Lord Chaitanya comes to show how to be a devotee of God. That's why he comes. He comes to show how you do it. He says, he doesn't usually say, I'm God. He says, I'm servant of God's servants. And he teaches how to do it. And he comes to do that, show how to be a devotee, and how to spread the chanting of the holy names, how to chant the holy names yourself, and how to become full of love of God by becoming purified in your heart through this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. So eventually that's what happens. He gives up his scholarly ways, takes initiation from a wonderful guru who has a heart of gold, and Nimai becomes, he's always been a great lover because he's God, but he seems externally to become a wonderful devotee of God, and everyone is so fascinated. Look what happened, what a transformation. Wow, maybe I could do that too. And so he shows by his life's different examples that, yeah, you could be, a hard-hearted logician and you could still become soft-hearted and a lover of God. So you'll be hearing more and more pastimes as we go on in this season because we have until the 13th, which is the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya. And just remember that he's actually Radha and Krishna together. So isn't that a fascinating thing? That the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and his beautiful, loving consort, Radharani, who's compassion, mercy, and love personified, the greatest devotee ever, they combine together and come as Lord Chaitanya to see what is it like to experience this wonderful love. And it comes through this process of chanting. So in that way, you'll get to experience a few more minutes of chanting the holy names, so you can see this is a viable process that is going on today. And it's predicted in the Vaishnava scriptures that there'll be a 10,000 year period in this Kali Yuga, which has pioneered about 500 plus years ago. And it'll be for 10,000 years when there'll be this upliftment on the planet Earth. And there'll always be the demoniac elements side by side, because that's the nature of the Earth middle planetary realm. But the spiritual side is going to soar for the next 10,000 years. So have hope You know, things seem rather, you know, dim and glum and miserable sometimes. You know, we think, oh wow, this is going to last forever. You know, this condition, this economy, or this that. It's all just going to be terrible. But actually, it's just a little blip, and there's a whole open, you know, window of 10,000 years of the love of God being spread in an amazing way. So you can be part of it always if you like, and in that way you'll feel the happiness. So thank you.